This is the Jay Pitt Show.
There was a piece of legislation that passed the House. I don't know what the likelihood of it getting through the Senate that is designed to promote homeownership and reduce costs. It's called the Road to Housing Act, ROAD in all caps. The 21st Century Road to Housing Act passed the House of Representatives. It says it has cleared the Senate and now heads to the president's desk for signature. However, I've been hearing some things about it going back to the Senate for revisions. It's supposed to address the affordability crisis. I don't know a lot about what is in this particular act, but news broke yesterday afternoon of the passing, came across my email address from outlets like Housing Wire. I don't know. I kind of intended on doing a little bit more research before talking about it, but I kind of feel like this could be something that we end up talking about more. If you look it up on Gemini, it says pretty much the core provisions are that there are investor restrictions, basically saying restricting home purchases of corporations, institutional investors that own 350 or more single-family dwellings, zoning and reform that is aimed at loosening supply. I really don't know if that just, zoning restrictions are set at the local and state level. I don't know how a federal piece of legislation is going to affect or loosen zoning restrictions.
I found an article by NPR about this, and it's very promising, actually. So I'll just read through this. It says a number of factors have made homes out of reach for many U.S. buyers. According to the real estate broker Redfin, a family needs an income of about $117,000 a year to afford the typical home on the market, almost $30,000 more than what most U.S. households earn. Mortgage rates have also risen over the past several years, and that boosts the monthly cost of ownership. Rates have been falling earlier this year, but the war in Iran raised the cost of borrowing, yada, yada, yada. But the main issue this bill tries to address is that the U.S. does not have enough houses to keep up with demand. Realtor.com estimated that last year the U.S. was short by more than 4 million housing units. Supply is the key problem here, said Jenna Keeney, assistant professor of economics, finance, and real estate at Villanova University. Anything you can do to make supply easier is going to be helpful in the long term. Rather than making a single change, the bill is a hodgepodge of provisions designed to either encourage housing construction or make it easier for home seekers to buy. The flashiest part of the package is a ban that prevents corporate investors from buying up more single-family homes to rent out. If one of those groups already owns at least 350 houses, it won't be able to buy others.
Yeah.
So I think the promising thing is like they realize supply is the biggest issue.
The recognition of supply.
They're finally,
which is something we've been talking about.
But they kind of contradict themselves. They want to make it easier for buyers to buy homes, which I get where that makes sense. But once again, you do that, you create more demand, they're going to need more supply.
Yeah.
So really, it's just supply's the major issue.
I mean, but once again, Ryan, you can't correct the supply shortage without having healthy demand as well. So it's like a very interesting balancing act. I find it actually quite interesting, according to Gemini, which this is, breaking news for me, is that apparently Trump has already signed it this morning. So it broke yesterday that it had passed the House and was going to his desk for signature. Supposedly has already been signed as of this morning. And the legislative status, according to Gemini, it reveals some other very interesting information. Apparently, this passed the Senate with an 85-5 vote.
Yeah, very bipartisan.
And a 358-32 passing in the House yesterday. So this is a rare situation where you have overwhelming two-party support for a piece of legislation. It talks about community development block granting, which is a way, I'm not the perfect expert on it, but I do know is a way that they've gone about in major metros, using this to ease zoning restrictions on land use. I will also say, anecdotally, it prevents the establishment of a central bank digital currency, which is something you'll hear from a lot of Bitcoiners as a big risk to the financial markets and a reason why they're most interested in, kind of alternative currency like a Bitcoin, because, the manipulation opportunities that exist with a central bank digital currency in terms of monetary supply. So no CBDC right now, which is interesting. I don't think that has widespread support anyway. So I find it interesting that they included in a piece of legislation like this. But yeah, interesting. So the 21st Century Road to Housing Act, I don't know what the ROAD is, but again, like you said, the kind of sexy piece of the legislation is restricting corporations that own 350 more. I'm curious about the fine print there.
I wonder if that means, like, let's say you owned 350 single family housing units. Like, would you be able to buy more?
No, I don't think so. I suppose if I own it personally, which would be an enormous risk, I don't think you would ever take on that kind of risk without some liability protection in the. I suppose you could self-insure with, huge liability policy. No, nobody should do that. You shouldn't own 350 houses without some sort of corporate structure to protect you from personal liability. But to your point, I think this is just a slight alteration to your question. What happens when BlackRock has the BlackRock 123 fund, owns 350 single family homes in it, and then starts the BlackRock 234 fund to acquire 350 more? Does the fine print of the legislation, like sharing principles and things like that? I mean, they do have, I've done a fair amount of research on this because we own several companies. And for taxation purposes, the IRS has a way to kind of group principles to calculate tax burden. So, sure, they can figure that out because it can't be just that easy to start another LLC.